We are surrounded by the world of spirits, with heaven above us and hell below us. Those in the highest heaven are closest to the Lord, while those in the lowest hell are described as being farthest away. These spatial terms are useful when we consider that in common speech we say things like, "I feel very close to my cousin, even though she lives very far away." We know that we are speaking about spiritual affinity, not geographical proximity. At the top of everything, at the highest point, is the Lord, like a living sun radiating divine good and truth throughout creation. Heaven is like being human in form, with individual communities corresponding to the function of the organs in our body. The Lord being the center of the body, not in the literal sense of being part of its anatomy, but in the more spiritual sense of being at the core of our being, sustaining it just as we are sustained by our souls. Heaven, then, is not so much a place as a collective entity made up of good people who perform an important use, much as we ourselves are made up of individual cells and atoms that are essential to the full functioning of our body. The animating force of heaven, as well as of living creatures on earth, is God's love and wisdom. God, for Swedenborg, is not a remote being who created the universe and then retired to heaven. On the contrary, God is the very essence of life, love, and wisdom itself, the source and sustenance of all that exists. In brief, God is closer to us than the beating of our heart and the breath of our nostrils. But we only experience this closeness to the extent that we align ourselves with God's will. This is what opens us to the influx of God's love and wisdom, also called heaven. Heaven is a place of inexpressible joy and peace. He also warns that people who are not ready to experience a certain level of heaven will feel uncomfortable, even sick, and will be forced to retreat back down to lower levels until they have been properly prepared. This is even truer of spirits who are bound for hell. Hell is, simply put, the part of creation that is farthest away from the Lord. If we visualize heaven as being in the form of a human being as described above, hell would be the area beneath that being's feet. The popular image of hell is a place of fiery torment, a pit into which God casts sinners as punishment for their crimes. But God does not judge anyone or condemn them to hell in order to punish them. Rather, it is human beings themselves who choose hell by consistently choosing to act selfishly or cruelly toward others. In other words, no one is ever sent to hell for a single act, but embracing an evil action, justifying it rather than repenting and seeking forgiveness, is the first step on the road to hell. There is no one devil or Satan who is the counterpart to God, but they can play the same role, tempting human beings on earth to do wrong, just as angels can try to influence them to do right. Nor is it God or the angels who torment people in hell. Rather, people in hell are the ones who torture each other, lying, manipulating, and inflicting pain on others in an attempt to dominate them and gain power. Like the angels in heaven, all devils were once human beings. There are no beings in either heaven or hell who were not once living on earth. To angels, the inhabitants of hell are twisted and misshapen and live in buildings that are ugly, filthy, and have a horrible stench. However, to the inhabitants of hell their surroundings seem pleasant, and to each other they can even be attractive. Devils, therefore, prefer hell to heaven, and would not choose to live anywhere else even if they were given the option. They find heaven repulsive, and cannot stand its light for even a few moments. They perceive heavenly teachings as sickly sweet and may dismiss good people as being too idealistic or impractical. Hell has different regions and levels just as heaven does. The deepest hells are also the darkest and coldest, since the Lord is the source of light and heat in the spiritual world. The only light and warmth in hell arises from the fires of malice that emanate from its inhabitants. Those who live in the deepest hells are the ones who embrace evil on the innermost levels of their being, who love themselves more than anything else, and who find great delight in inflicting pain on others.